Hi guys, welcome back to another gentle declutter of my makeup collection. Today we're going to be looking at single shadows. These are my shimmer shadows from Sydney Grace. I have what I would consider a reasonable amount of single eyeshadows, but that doesn't mean that I don't need to go through them once in a while and sort of evaluate what I'm going to actually use and what I can part with. So these are the shimmers. Like I said, we'll also be doing the mattes in this video. And I'm thinking as we go through this video about putting my 3 remaining ColourPop palettes into a Z palette together. They're all 3 neutral. Let's start with this. However, I had started to sit down and kind of play with my single shadows, thinking about creating a new small palette to, I don't know, incorporate into my everyday makeup. I started, swatching things and I thought, why not do this on camera? So I'm gonna start by sort of breaking them up into color categories. I have a lot of green, I have some purples. So let's do that first and then we'll go category by category and swatch things out. So I think we should go ahead and start with the neutrals because I'm pretty sure I'm keeping all of those, but we'll just, go ahead and swatch them. All right, starting with this one, this is the shade Bailey's Bliss, and she is pigmented. This is a great lid shade and her corner shade. It's kind of a beige with a silvery blue flip to it. This is Major, which is a nice brightening yellow gold color. I don't wear a lot of gold on my lid, but if I do, it's something like this. This one is really kind of a standalone shade. This is Apricot. It's kind of a neutral, but I don't really have any other like orangey kind of shadows, so I just put it here. And it's kind of a peachy shade with a golden shift to it. This one I just had in my No Pan Left Behind. In fact, I did a look with it yesterday with this one and another one, and I really enjoyed it actually. It's called Tiara, and I just don't have another shade like this in my collection anywhere. It's nice, cool toned. It paired really beautifully. What green was it? I had it with this one, these two together, and it was really, really pretty. This is one of my favorites in my entire singles collection. It is 100% a beautiful bronze shade. This is why I love Sydney Grace shadows so much. They really are just gorgeous. They're so smooth, so buttery, and so reflective. They're just literally like butter or like liquid shadow. It's just gorgeous. So all of those are staying. Let's go ahead and swatch my pinks and reds. This is the shade Princess Pepe, and it's more of a satin shadow than a shimmer, in my opinion, and I really actually like this. I'm not into red eyeshadow. This is more of a satin burgundy shade. It's really pretty in the outer V or on the outer corner as a deepening shade, so I will definitely be keeping that one. It's about the only red shade I enjoy. So, and then there's this one. This one's called Golden Peach. I was not expecting this when I chose this shade, and I had this rolled into, I think it was Project 10 Uses, which I've since pulled my singles out of because I'm just trying to touch every pan this year. I'm not really trying to make progress on my eyeshadows other than in Project Level Up. So but I just could not bring myself to use this. It's such a pretty shade, but at the same time, I'm just not going to use it, so why keep it? I'm going to use this little palette to put in the ones that I am ready to part with. Then we have this one. It's kind of a rose gold called Blondie. Very pretty, very everyday kind of shade. This could have honestly gone in with my neutrals if I wanted it to. It's really, really beautiful, and I do really enjoy the shade. This is the shade Immortal, and this is more of your like cool tone, kind of icy, pinky champagne-y something or other. I really love this shadow. I think it's probably duped somewhere in my collection, but I couldn't tell you where, and I just really enjoy this formula from Sydney Grace. Sydney Grace, you'll see, does make some thicker shadows, like the formula is thicker, but if you use a brush like this that is pinched but fluffy and apply your shimmers on the lid with this, it applies it in a more smooth manner. It kind of shears out the thickness of the shadow. So if you have shadows that, especially if you have mature eyelids and you have shadows that you kind of stay away from because they're that thicker formula, Natasha Denona is another one, try that. Try that and let me know how it goes. And lastly, for the pinks and reds, this is the shade Red Mist. You'll see I have several of these in different categories, and I don't know what possessed me to buy the shade Red Mist, knowing I don't really love red shadows. It ends up being more of a pinky duochrome, and it is pretty, and you know, I don't know exactly how much use I'll get out of it, but I'm still willing to play with it. So I will keep that one. So let's start with blues. Again, I'm going to kind of go dark to light. This is the shade Red Chameleon, and it's kind of one of those blue-brown pigments, but this has a little bit more of a reddish brown undertone, and if you like this sort of shade, this is the best one. It just is. I mean, look at that. Oh, so good. Yeah, I love that shade. That is gorgeous. Then this shade is called Dive, and it's kind of a turquoise base with a little bit of a sagey green shift to it. It's really beautiful. You can see it's kind of like Red Chameleon in its shift, but it has a blue base instead of a red-brown base. I just love that. Look at that. So beautiful. I'm gonna go with this more blue one next. This is Boy Crazy, and this is just such a vibrant blue. I couldn't not. And I do love blue eyeshadow. Look at that. It's just so pretty. Excuse my nails. I'm a gardener, so my nails are gonna look like this all summer long. But yeah, this is a beautiful shade. You know, to be fair, I don't reach for it often, but I do just love it. It makes me happy, my little makeup monster. All right, this is a shade Megalodon. Look at that. And this is definitely a light, there's a lighter press on this. I feel like the particles are a little bigger. Boy Crazy is kind of that way, but this just has a lot more of a metallic glow to it, and it's really beautiful. I love this shade. This is the shade Mint Green. I would call this more of a aqua color, but I'm not Sydney Grace, so I was, I think, expecting a little bit more of a green when I ordered this shade, but I find it to be more of an aqua blue, but you can't argue that it's beautiful. It is a kind of shade that I do use. And lastly, in the blues, this is Blue Mist. So just like the red one, but with a blue duochrome to it. It's a really beautiful shade. I have used this one like 3 times this year. It was in my Project 10 uses before I decided not to include my shadows in there and to only include them in my No Pan Left Behind series. But I do love this one. It's a beautiful like inner corner highlight you can imagine. It would be beautiful layered over any of these other blue shades. So let's go ahead with this one. This is called Rover. Yeah, see, that's more neutral to me, but that's okay. We'll swatch it here. It's fine. And this is, again, more of a satin shade, which I don't mind a bit. It is kind of a little bit of a cooler brown, so I do like that. It's a little bit more unique to my collection in that way. And I do love satin shadows. I just think they're beautiful. This is Midnight Amethyst. There's always cat hairs on this mat because my cats just insist on laying on it when I'm not using it. So Midnight Amethyst, this one also has been in my No Pan Left Behind series already this year. It is such a beautiful shade. Both of these satin shades as well are beautiful as liners, like just an eyeliner kind of look. Then this one is called Flannel, and it's a lot like Boy Crazy and Megalodon. I think this one has a little bit more of a smooth finish like Boy Crazy, the bright blue one. But I mean, there's no denying that is a stunning purple. Like, ooh. I just love the swatch finger. I think sometimes the swatch finger tells more of the story than the actual swatch. This is Magenta Dreams, one of my favorite duochromes. It has just kind of a lighter blue purple shift to a warmer purple base. Absolutely stunning. This one I also just had in my No Pan Left Behind. This is the shade The Greatest Gift. It's one of Sydney Grace's most well-known shades. It's a beautiful purple base with kind of a greenish aqua shift to it. It's soft. You almost can't tell when it's on the eyes that it's purple unless you would pair it with like another purple to kind of make the purple stand out. But it does have just a really fun shift. And then this is the shade Winter Garden. This one has a little bit more of a cooler shift to it. It's a little more blue than green aqua. I don't know if you'll be able to tell the difference, but... And then lastly, this is not called Purple Mist, it's called Mystery. And it definitely has a purple shift, but it also has kind of a blue, I don't know, it's a mystery, I guess. And that's what that one looks like. I really do enjoy this shade. Again, it's pretty as an inner corner, as a lid shade. I've worn some of these like light duochromes just on their own in a sheer wash on the lid, and they're really beautiful. So there we are, purples and blues. We didn't get rid of any, but I don't care. All right, and lastly, we're gonna do the greens here, greens and golds, I guess, because some of them there's quite a bit of crossover in. This one is called Rustic. And it's a satin shade, and it's definitely green, but it's more to the olivey side, and it's just kind of like these two shades over here, just a nice, you know, base shade, deepening shade, liner shade. They're just beautiful. I love this. All right, then there's this shade which is called To Earth. I bought at one point their Mountain something or other. It was a bundle of their green shadows, both matte and shimmer, and so that's partially how I ended up with so many greens, and some of them were exclusive to that bundle. Look at that goodness. I mean, is that not, to me, this is like Christmas or fall. Yeah, I love this green color. I think it's really pretty, and I definitely don't have anything like that in my collection. This is Light My World. This was one that I honestly thought I might part with until I used it yesterday in my look, and it's just really pretty. It's kind of an old gold, greeny, brassy gold color, and I thought it was interesting, especially paired with the cooler tone on the very inner corner. I'll put the look up here. This one is called Be My Sunshine. Yeah. It's just, I think, is it yellow though, or is it more chartreuse? Because now that I'm swatching it, like that would be a really pretty look. Dang it, I thought I was gonna get rid of that one. Let's put this one over here for now. But then I'll look in my collection and see if I can't find anything similar, in which case then I'd be able to part with it. This is the shade Escape. Beautiful green. Oh, yeah. Kind of has like a blue base with like green and gold reflex. So satisfying. And the thing I love about single shadows, as you can see here, is that for the most part, I picked shades that I believe will work for me, and only shades that I like to wear. You know, if I don't like to wear yellow eyeshadow, then you don't buy yellow eyeshadow, and it's great. This is the shade Recruit, one of my favorite greens in this collection. It's definitely like army, but it has a slightly warm brownie green base to it. It's really beautiful. And that's part of why I'm in here trying to declutter as well as organize things, because I want to pull these out and use them. This is the shade Celebrate, and I'm wondering if I will like this one better than that Chartreuse. Ooh, that's not Chartreuse, but that's almost like, I don't know, lack of a better way to put it, it's like fairy acid green. Or absinthe green, something like that. It definitely has like a yellowy green kind of shift to like a grass green base almost. Okay, this is the shade Dazzle. Ooh, that's very nice and brightening. Interestingly, the more I swatched this way of green, the less I like the look of this. Isn't that interesting? This one is Tempest, and it's that same kind of formula as Boy Crazy and Flannel, but this one is quite thick and sparkly. It's just the most perfect like grassy green shimmer. It makes me want to wear it every year on St. Patrick's Day. This one is Springtime, and I would agree with that. It's such a pretty shade. Look at that. Reasons I love green eyeshadow, because it doesn't matter what kind of green it is, I love it. Look at that. So pretty. This is the shade Mermaid. It's more of a yellow than anything, but to me it almost has a little bit of a greeniness to it, so I decided to put it here. I don't know, it's really not a gold in my opinion, because it does have some kind of a, I don't know, it almost feels like it has a titch of green in it. It's just a really pretty yellow shadow, for lack of a better way to put it. It's fun, but it is, you know, if you hold it up, oops, sticking my nails into all of these. If you hold it up next to Major, which is the yellow gold, I don't know, to me this has just a little bit of a greenish hue to it. Maybe I'm imagining things, though it could be. And lastly, this is Green Mist. Ooh, so pretty. I can imagine these two together. Can't you just imagine? That would be so pretty. All right, so we managed to part with 2 from the shimmer section. I am okay with that. Part of me, though, wants to see if I can find a dupe within my collection for Light My World. This one, pretty sure the gold palette has something like that in it. So give me just a minute to look in my eyeshadow drawer and I'll be right back. Okay, I did find my dupe. They're not exact, but this is the shade My Angels from the Carly Bible palette right here, and to me fits the itch for this one right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and part with that one as well. I think for now I'm gonna put everything in my palette by colorway, and then we'll pull out the mattes and get to work on those. Herein lies the problem. I wish I could get all of mine into one palette, but I like these palettes the best. I do have Z palettes. I don't know if they'd fit better in there, but I just prefer these palettes. They're more sturdy. So I guess I'm going to have to put my greens in here, which is, you know, I've done that before, having my greens in this palette. I certainly don't mind having an all green palette because I love my greens. This is what we're keeping, and these are the ones that we are saying goodbye to. And now we can get to matte shadows. First, I'm going to kind of break things up a little bit. Go ahead and start with the blues. This is the shade Cali. It's currently in my No Pan Left Behind. I've yet to use it. Well, sometimes Sydney Grace mats are prone to hard pan if you finger swatch. So I'm gonna keep my tape handy here. Really isn't wanting to swatch. I know it applies on the eyes, and you can kind of see the color there. Hopefully we don't have that trouble with all of the shades. This is the shade Perfect Storm. See, this one doesn't swatch too bad. And this is just like a nice cornflower blue maybe, or maybe this is more cornflower. This one is Poolside. And that is like a nice kind of crease shade. Then this is the shade Thrilled. And that one is going to swatch for us. And it's a really pretty shade. I don't honestly think I'm gonna get rid of any of these. I don't have an abundance of blue matte shadows anywhere in my collection, so I do like these. I do reach for these. This yellow, I just haven't decided if I am going to find it useful. I mean, I think it could certainly possibly be like a primer setting shade or something like that. That one's not going to swatch for me either. This one is Sea Breeze. I really like this like honeydew green shade. It's really cool. And it does swatch a little bit. This one is named Sea Foam, and it's kind of like the green version of Cali. Like, it's very light. Honestly, would probably be mostly a lid shade for me, like for a matte look, or maybe a shade for blending out one of the other greens. And we have the shade Honeydew, which if your honeydew is this color, it's probably overripe. Just saying. Is a nice springy green color that would definitely look nice with like the springtime green shade. This is Wildlife, nice and dark. They do not apply patchy, they just swatch patchy, unfortunately. And then this is Trailhead, and this is a very nice deep green. So there's that one. So no surprise there, not getting rid of any blues or greens. I want to swatch all of these together, but I want to start with the more purpley, go into the pinky, and then more of the neutral shades for comparison's sake. This one definitely has hard pan on it. It's called Chocolate Raspberry Fudge, and this is a beautiful shade. Exactly what it sounds. It has a bit of burgundy / plummy brownness to it. It's really pretty. It's a great anchor for any look, really. Definitely have to work on these to get the hard pan off after this. That's kind of a bummer. Love this orchidy purple shade. It's called Unpredictable. It's like the perfect orchid purple, something I would love to just, you know, use that shade and only that shade. This one is Winter Wonder, and it's kind of an ashy lavender shade. Very pretty though. And this is Speedway, and this is more of a purpley taupe. There we have that one. And I think all four of these actually kind of go together. Like, this would be a pretty look, all four of them. Then we have these three more rosy tones. This one maybe could go there. This is Peyton's Puppy, hands down my favorite matte from Sydney Grace. It's such a beautiful transition for my skin tone. It's kind of peachy, a little bit pinky. I don't know, it's just really pretty. I really enjoy that color. This is the shade Honesty. And that one is just a little bit more to the nude brownie kind of side of things. This is Iced Mocha, another favorite shade for me, another favorite transition. It's, you know, definitely more cool tone, but it still has kind of a peachy undertone to it, or pinky. Very nice. And then there were 4. We have this one, which is a little yellowy to me. It came in that mountain bundle. It's called Dirt Road. Don't think I need this one. Yeah, I can definitely part with that one. Not a huge fan of like yellowy mattes, and this is definitely that. It's not that it's a bad shadow or anything. I just don't like yellowy tones on myself, so I don't feel like I need that. This is Toffee. This one's also a little yellow. Well, let's compare. Yeah, it's a little yellowy, but it's, I don't know, it definitely has enough brown to it. Kind of reminds me of the shade from the original Patrick Ta palette, which is called Transition. This is Peanut Butter. Beautiful shade. Kind of like Toffee, but not as yellow. So that's really beautiful. And then this shade also came in that bundle. It's called Backwoods. And that's kind of a greeny brown. So I actually feel like I enjoy this collection of matte shadows here. The only one I'm not for sure that I need is this one, but I think I will keep it for now. So let me put all of these away in their place and remove the hard pan from some of them. So these are the 4 shades that I am getting rid of, and I'm happy with that. I knew I would part with that one. I sensed I would part with that one. These I didn't really know I would part with, but I feel confident in that decision. And so these are going to be tucked away with my declutters for the next person that might be interested in them. Let me show you my full collection here. So the question remains, is there anything else that I feel like I want to part with? Let's see here. I have 6 spaces left, but there are 10 in here. So I would have to get rid of 4 shades in order for everybody to fit in here, but I'm all right. I'm okay. I'm fine with having just a green shimmer palette here and, you know, the rest of these. I'm really happy with this gentle declutter. Oops, just realized you can't see all of these. Can you? Yeah, now you can. I am happy with my collection here. Feels good to get a little excess out and touch everybody, and I am looking forward to kind of the first thing I was inspired to do today was create a little palette for myself, considering taking and putting all of my ColourPop singles in a palette. Let me pull those out and we'll just talk about it, even if I don't end up doing it. All right, so here is my Z palette, and these are my 3 ColourPop palettes. I do love the packaging. I'm not for sure why I feel the urge to take them out, other than, you know, maybe creating palettes with mixtures of these shades. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't know why I'm feeling like taking all of these out. Maybe partially I want to part with a few shades that I don't love. Like, I don't love these sequin shades, but I do occasionally use them as a thing. So I don't know. What do you guys think? I wish you could actually tell me. All right, hi guys, same video, different day. And I had mentioned in the previous part of the video that I was thinking about depotting my remaining 3 ColourPop palettes and putting them into a Z palette and using them as singles. And I decided to go ahead and do that, which went well with the Going Coconuts palette, as well as the That's Taupe palette. But when it came to the Blush Crush palette, I realized a genius at the ColourPop factory decided to glue these into the magnets. So as you can see, the magnets are gone out of here, and then I had to pry them, the magnet part, off the back of the shadows, which took my heating pad and other instruments, and so that one's going in the trash. But I will show you what I ended up with, and there are a couple I think I'm going to let go. In order, we have the Going Coconuts palette, the Blush Crush palette, and then the That's Taupe palette. I put the Blush Crush shades in between Going Coconuts and That's Taupe just visually to help me separate and see what palettes are what. But I do want to say, and I did label these. So for example, the TT9, that means That's Taupe, and it's the 9th shade in the palette. And I did that for the rest of the shadows as well. But there are 2 shades I'm gonna let go of. This one right here, which I believe was called Blush Wine. And I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but it has a ton of micro glitter in this matte shade. And as much as I like this matte shade, you know, a little bit of a satin shade isn't quite as big of a deal. I don't tend to end up with too much fallout, and I can use it like a matte shadow. That is not the case with this one, so I am gonna part with that. The same for the shadow from That's Taupe, which is, Going Coconuts rather. And that is the shade Get Crackin'. It also has quite a bit of micro sparkle in there, and I really just don't need this kind of shade. I have a lot of shades like this that don't have glitter in them, so I'm gonna go ahead and let that one go. I'm excited to use these not only as kind of like a go-to neutral palette, but also just as singles to incorporate with my Sydney Gray singles in order to make, you know, custom palettes. And let me know if you guys would like to see a BYOP, build your own palette video for me. I'd be happy to do that. I'm going to put these shadows in this palette with the rest of the decluttered magnetic shades. But to be honest, I don't know that I'll find anybody to take either one of those shadows, in which case I will probably just dispose of the powder and keep the pans for repressing products in the future. But that is the result of depotting my ColourPop shadows. I've done this before with ColourPop shadows, and unfortunately those shadows just did not age well for me. The mattes got really powdery, the shimmers kind of got really dry and flaky. So I do want to, you know, kind of give these the attention that they deserve and play with them and enjoy them. And I think what I'm going to do is put this whole palette into my No Pan Left Behind wheel. I have already done the Going Coconuts palette in that project, so it wouldn't be those, it would be the rest. But I think that's how I'm going to do that. So, and versus like rolling these in as singles like I do with my Sydney Gray singles. So just to be, you know, transparent about what I plan to do with that. And I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know again if you'd like to see a build your own palette video, and if you have a theme in mind, or if you just want to see me create a summer palette as I go into summer here in the Northern Hemisphere. Yes. And I hope your makeup days are all beautiful makeup days, and I'll see you in the next video very, very soon. Bye.